Good morning, Dave Baldwin here with the Introverts in Business podcast, and I'm honored today to have our guest on the show. She is Chantal LeBlanc, the Business Director for Real Property Management Excellence, and she's going to share with us today some of her experience starting her own business. So to kick things off here, Chantal, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into this?
This business is residential property management. It's about putting tenants and owners together. How we differ is we don't buy and sell, we concentrate on managing, and we can then link with multiple investors, multiple realtors, and provide a full solution for them for management as well as buying, selling, and investing.
One of the questions I always like to start off on, because we're in the Introverts in Business podcast, is where would you put yourself on that spectrum of you've got introverts on one side and extroverts on the other? So where do you think you fall?
I think I'm about a 7. I'm not very introvert, but I'm not as comfortable with big groups, and I was more comfortable talking with children than adults, and so that's a big change for me.
Now, when you say 7, you're talking about 10 would be fully
yes.
extroverted. Okay.
From 0 to 10, I would be a 7 because I'm not a shy person, but I do withdraw in big groups.
Yeah, there's a term, it's called ambivert, which basically means you've got some introvert and some extrovert, which it seems to be a more common thing I'm finding, especially since I've been doing this show. But I want to talk a little bit about how you got into the property management field and how you got into entrepreneurship. So can you just talk a little bit about that path that led you to make it? First of all, how did you decide that you wanted to start your own business and not just go out and find a job?
My husband was unemployed at the time, and we were a bit disillusioned with the corporate world, so we kind of decided that we wanted to invest in ourselves because we're fully vested in what we do, in all we do, and we decided if we do that, then it's a recipe for success. We did go through a business broker, and we ran some profile analysis backgrounds, and based on this information and our strengths, certain companies were a better fit for us. I was analyzed as a persuader, and so basically sales isn't a natural thing, not because I'm trying to convince people of the sale, but because I can reflect the positive effect of something to somebody and make them understand why things are there, how they go, and how it will be, and just reflect a good picture of what it's about.
I've always thought that the difference between convincing and persuading, the way I think of it anyway, and I'm curious to see if it's in line with what your thinking is here, but convincing, the way I see it, is presenting a compelling argument and a list of logical reasons why you should agree with something, versus persuading is more emotional and maybe slower over time, where you're focusing on developing the relationship and maybe showing somebody a different way to look at something. Is that kind of what you mean when you say persuading, or would you think of it differently?
Well, I think you're right. I agree with you. I'm not trying to convince somebody to do something different than what they wish. I'm just reflecting the positive outcome that can come out of using us, for example. What's the difference? What do they gain by it? So you gain your personal time back. It's a tax deduction. So it's a win-win. It's just putting things together for the person to better understand the benefits, I think.
And I want to talk about your sales approach a little bit, but before I get into that, I want to talk about the property management field, and how did you make the decision that of all the possible businesses you could get into, that property management was the best fit for you?
Well, at first I think we thought it was going to be an easy peasy, we can do this, it'll be fast and quick and we can do this. And then we found out it's actually a lot more complicated than we had assumed. There's a lot of laws and compliance. You have to manage trust accounts. You're accountable for everything you do. And there's a lot of ways you can go wrong with property management, and a lot of property management companies have done that. They've gone wrong. And it gave the business kind of a negative view, and so I'm trying to better that. I'm trying to obey the laws and be as compliant as possible, and make sure that everybody in every part of the business, whether it's the investor or the tenant or anybody I deal with, is respected and therefore cared for in the right way according to the law as well.
Now, I want to, going back to what you said about persuading and your approach to sales, can you just talk to me a little bit about when you, well, first of all, what would you say is your approach to selling in your business and how you apply that?
I have to say that I'm not sure that I have an approach, but I found out through sales that people will ask you random questions that are sometimes irrelevant and they don't matter, and they might not be a good answer to that question. You could actually, it'd be a loss to even answer the question. And as a child, I was told it's not okay to answer a question with a question. But I find that in business, it's actually the right thing to do, because the person is asking a question just sometimes to fill a void and not truly for the answer. And if you dig deeper, you find out what their true motivation is, or why do they even ask. So the best answer I find sometimes to questions in sale is, that's a great question. Can you tell me more about it? Or why do you ask? And then the person say, I don't know why I'm asking that. And then move on to another subject because it's actually irrelevant to even the situation, or it won't matter in the end. So asking a question when somebody's asking you a question is actually the right thing to do, I find, in sales. I find it actually helps to get to the deeper meaning and get a conversation going.
And it sounds like, and I'm inclined to agree with this, but it sounds like you're noticing that sometimes people ask a question and they're not actually even interested in the answer to the question.
No.
That if you interpret it in the most literal sense, what they asked, there's actually maybe another question behind that question that they didn't say out loud.
Yeah.
Or maybe a concern they have that they couldn't articulate clearly.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I find that sales is a lot about the other person, not really you. I mean, they'll do business with you if they do like you, basically. I think that you have to have an affinity with the person and be credible. But you need to find out about the person, their needs, their wants, what's their hot point, what's their hot button, what's wrong, and then see if that's something you can do for them and apply that.
So, to kind of tie this all together, the last question I have for you is, since you started your business, has there been any big takeaway or a lesson that was maybe a surprise, or just, if you had to say one thing that you've learned since starting your business, what would you say about that?
You have to be ready for everything and anything. You know, you have to go with the flow and apply everything that you've learned to every day. And I find that no matter how much technology you do have, it will never replace people. People matter, and customers are a blessing, and you just have to do right by them. So.
All right, great. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and I want to just invite you, if you'd like to find more about Chantal's company, Real Property Management Excellence, you can go to realpropertymanagementexcellence.com, the website, and you can also find their company on Facebook. Just search for that name on there. And any last thoughts you have, or anything else you want to say about your business before we wrap up here, Chantal?
Yep, I'd like to say that the fact that we differ from other property management, that we don't have a conflict of interest by selling and buying, is an advantage, because if you associate with us, you're growing your business through us. And it's kind of like we're babysitting your customers. If you're a realtor, you send me tenants, they want to buy, you refer them back. And so basically, I find it's a win-win for them to go and use our services, and then they just get their clients back, basically. Retention is the key, and in the meantime, I just babysit them and send them back to you. So it's a great way to do business.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. That's all for today's episode. I look forward to seeing you again on future episodes. Bye-bye for now.